Hi, this is Natalie, and this presentation is about my stream involvement.
Hi Natalie, could you give me an overview of your stream and what do you do for your stream?
So basically I'm in Empire. Empire is our youth group in Bridge Church, and what we do is actually to build a structure to actually reach 100 youth, and that is our goal. We also aim to disciple youth, to be able to connect them and build relationship with them, and also for us to lead them to have a stronger relationship with God. We also do have another program, a sub-department called Empire Student Network. It's ESN for short, and basically what we do is to run programs in schools. So we do go into different schools to run different curriculum with them, to actually empower them and to grow them.
That's fantastic. So what were some of the challenges you faced during your time?
So one of the challenges I faced was actually being a new youth leader. So because I come from Singapore and I came all the way to Australia for this internship program, I'm a new leader in this youth group. And because of that, it was actually very difficult for me to connect with the youth, because for youth, they like familiarity. They like to be able to meet someone on a regular basis, and because I was new, they were a bit more shut off. They didn't want to open up to talk to me. So one of the examples was when we were having connect groups, for example, like discipleship groups. When I actually talked to them to get them to share more about the discussion questions, they actually gave me one-word answers, or they tend to not want to talk more. And this is because I was a new leader, or they just didn't know me as well. It also didn't help when the other youth leaders that I was working with, because I was not close to them, they sometimes would forget that I'm part of them, or they would forget that I'm there. So that was one of the challenges I faced being a new youth leader. The second challenge I faced is actually working with younger youth leaders, and because of that, a lot of our youth leaders are actually 18 or 19. They have just graduated from youth last year. So sometimes their mentality and their mindset is as though they are still youth, and they forget that they are actually youth leaders. And an example was when we actually went for Planet Shakers conference. We are supposed to go by 2 leaders with a bunch of youth, and we were going for lunch. And what happened is that this leader actually forgot that we had 2 more youth left behind, and we started walking back to the conference without realizing that there were 2 more youths behind. So when I actually asked him how come he forgot, he just said, "Oh, I was carried away talking to my friends. I just assumed that everybody was with us." And sometimes I think that is what happens when they forget that they are actually leaders and they have responsibilities for the youth. So that is one of the challenges I face working with younger youth leaders.
Thank you for sharing. So how are you looking at tackling and solving these 2 problems?
So for the first problem, being a new youth leader, I think it grows over time. So for me, it would be to solve the problem would be to be deliberate in spending time with these youths, to actually reach out to them, to call them over the weekdays, to find out how they're doing, and of course when I see them at youth, to create more conversations to get to know them better. And for the second problem, which is working with younger leaders, I think it would how it would solve the problem would be to help and to guide them, and also to remind them of their responsibilities that they have being youth leaders.
Thank you, that's fantastic. So what were some of your achievements during your time in the stream?
So one of the achievements was actually going into Ashwood High School to run programs with them. So we actually plan programs. Right now, we're actually planning programs to empower young girls from year 7 and year 8 in Ashwood High School. What we do is that we go in and we actually empower them. We actually talk to them and teach them about identity, and we actually help them to build their self-confidence. And for these girls, they actually really enjoy our program, because we can see that as we go into the schools, they're actually looking forward to the following week to actually meet us to do this program with them. The second achievement would be planning and running the Ivanhoe Girls event. So what happened is that Ivanhoe Girls School came into Bridge Church, and they actually wanted to know more about Bridge Church and what we do, and why we believe what we believe in. And so one of my achievements was actually being able to plan this event. It's actually a 1-hour program where they come in to get to know about this church. And so I actually planned it, and I was able to share my testimony and also able to share with them about the Holy Trinity and what God is to us.
Wow, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. So what was some of the lessons learned during this period of your stream?
So one of the lessons learned is actually learning to speak up. So coming from an Asian background, most of the times we are taught not to speak up or actually talk back to our superiors because it's rude. However, in the Australian culture, most of the time the superiors actually want us to speak up. They want us to voice out our opinion. But because I come from an Asian background, that's actually really hard to do. So one of the examples that I had was when my pastor actually misunderstood me for a very small incident. But because I was not able to speak up, or I did not dare to speak up to my superior, I decided to keep quiet about it, and that affected me. However, after praying and talking to God about it, I decided to speak up. And that was one of the lessons I learned, because after talking to him, he apologized and we talked about it, and he said that next time it's better for me to speak up, and so that I would not be misunderstood. So this is one of the lessons I learned. Second lesson that I learned is also learning to lead, because I'm that type of leader where I like to take the back seat. I'll let other people lead because I feel that I don't want to compete with the rest of them, so I let them do what they have to do. Of course, when the situation arises and I need to step up, I will, but just by personality and preference, I choose to take the back seat. However, because working in Empire, I'm working with a lot of younger youth leaders.